The twin suns were falling behind the red desert when Evan Hawley, a human explorer, realized he was truly lost. His legs shook, his lips were dry, and the wind felt like fire on his skin. For hours he had walked through the endless dunes of the alien planet Rios, searching for shelter. No water, no shade, no signal to call his ship. He tried to stay calm, but fear was slowly growing inside him. Every step felt heavier than the last. He looked behind, his footprints disappeared. Instantly as the hot wind covered them. He was alone, completely alone. But then, something strange happened. A trembling sound came from under the sand. At first, Evan thought it was just the wind. But the vibration grew stronger, like something huge was crawling below the surface. He lifted his foot and felt the ground move again. This planet is alive. He whispered, "Dot," and that is when he heard a soft voice behind him. "Human, you should not be here." Evan turned fast, ready to defend himself. But the person standing behind him was not a soldier or a creature ready to attack. It was a young, alien girl, no older than 16 in human years. Her skin glowed with a soft blue light, almost like moonlight on water. Her long white hair flowed gently, even though the wind was harsh. And her eyes, bright silver, watching him with fear. Instead of hostility. "Who are you?" Evan asked, surprised that she spoke his language. "My name is Lyra," she said quietly. "And you must leave this place. The sand is waking up." Before he could ask more, the ground behind him cracked open. A ripple ran across the dune like something enormous was pushing upward. Lyra grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "Run!" Evan didn't argue. They rushed down the slope, sand sliding under their feet. Behind them, the dune rose and fell like a giant beast was breathing. Evan's heart pounded. He knew that whatever was under that sand was not friendly. Lyra led him toward a rocky cliff. As they reached the side of the cliff, Evan finally understood her fear. Hidden between the rocks was a shape, a massive triangular shadow buried under the sand, a pyramid. Ancient, silent, half buried by time. This is impossible," Evan whispered. "Your people built pyramids too?" Lyra shook her head. "No, my people found it. But we do not touch it. We do not enter it. We do not speak of it." "Why?" Evan asked. "Because it belonged to the ancients," she said. "A race older than time. A race that even my people fear." The entrance was sealed with a huge stone slab covered in strange symbols that glowed faint blue. Lyra pulled her hand away the moment she got near. "Do not touch them," she warned. "These symbols react to blood. Only the chosen can open the door. Anyone else dies." Evan stepped back. "Then why bring me here? I did not bring you." She looked down, nervous. "The desert pushed you towards this place. It does not like humans walking on its skin. This pyramid protects. It is the safest place near us." He studied the symbols. They were beautiful smooth curves, star-like shapes, lines that seemed to breathe with a soft pulse. But when Evan moved closer, something strange happened. One of the symbols stopped glowing blue and turned bright white. Lyra gasped. "No, that cannot happen. Only a descendant of the ancients can activate a mark." "I didn't do anything," Evan said. Stepping back, the symbol pulsed again. Brightening. Another symbol lit up. Then another dot, and another. One by one, the ancient markings across the huge stone door began glowing with white fire, reacting to Evan's presence like they recognized him. The desert wind suddenly went silent, as if the entire world was holding its breath. "Lyra, what's happening?" Evan asked, his voice unsteady. She shook her head, fear in her eyes. "Humans were never supposed to touch this place. Your kind died thousands of years ago. They cannot open these doors. This is not possible." The ground trembled. A deep, ancient rumble came from inside the pyramid. The symbols grew so bright that Evan had to shield his eyes. Something shifted behind the stone. A giant lock inside the slab turned. Lyra stepped away. Evan, stop. Do not go closer. You will wake something that should stay asleep. But Evan wasn't touching anything. He held his hands up. It's not me. A final symbol lit up, then vanished like smoke. Blast of cold wind shot outward as the heavy stone door cracked down the center. Sand shook off its surface. Dust filled the air. A thin line of golden light appeared in the middle, and then the pyramid door slowly opened. Inside was a long corridor glowing with soft, warm light. It looked untouched by time, like it had been waiting. Lyra stared at Evan, her voice shaking. No one has opened that door for 10,000 years. Evan stepped forward, unable to stop himself. A strange pull, like a voice calling from inside, whispered through the air. Lyra grabbed his arm again, but this time she was trembling. Evan, if you enter, your life will never be the same. He looked at the glowing pathway. Maybe that's the point. Evan took one step inside. The door slammed shut behind them. The door slammed behind them with a loud echo that shook dust from the ancient ceiling. Evan turned around quickly, trying to push the stone door open again, but it didn't move even an inch. It felt like a mountain was blocking it. Lyra stepped back, her glowing eyes wide with fear. This is wrong. This is very wrong. The pyramid has chosen you. Evan looked at her. Chosen me for what? Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she walked carefully deeper into the glowing hallway. The air inside the pyramid was cold, cleaner than the desert air outside. The walls were covered in symbols, thousands of them moving like living light. The deeper they walked, the brighter the markings became. Evan reached out his hand, curious. Lyra quickly grabbed his wrist. No, don't touch anything. These walls remember every hand that ever touched them. They judge the heart of the person. Evan slowly lowered his hand. So they can kill. Yes, she said simply. They continued walking until they reached a massive chamber that opened, like the inside of a giant sphere. Floating stones, smooth, dark, and glowing, were circling peacefully in the air. They moved slowly, like planets around a star. Evan stared in shock. How is this possible? This room is alive, Lyra whispered. Listens. It watches. In the center of the room hovered a large stone tablet, rotating slowly. Strange carvings were etched across its surface. Images of towering aliens with 6 arms, humans with glowing armor, and giant beasts destroying cities. Evan took a step closer. The tablet stopped rotating. It faced him. Lyra froze. It recognized you. The carvings on the tablet flashed with white light. Suddenly, the images moved like a recording coming to life. Evan saw a vision, the same desert planet, but thousands of years ago. Humans and aliens stood side by side, fighting something huge in the sky. A dark shadow covered the planet. A massive gate shaped, exactly like the pyramid, was breaking apart. Then the vision stopped. Evan stumbled back, breathing hard. That was real? Lyra nodded slowly. You saw the war of the ancients, a war no one speaks about. Evan rubbed his head. But why me? Why would this thing show me that? Lyra swallowed nervously. Because your blood is reacting to the pyramid. He blinked. My blood? She pointed at the glowing tablet. Only descendants of the key-bearers can activate this place. My people believed humans died in that ancient war. But you, Evan, you should not exist. Before he could answer, a low rumbling sound filled the chamber. The floating stones stopped moving. Then they began turning toward Evan one by one, like they were looking at him. Lyra grabbed his arm. We must leave this room. Now. This room is waking up the Guardians. Evan frowned. Guardians? But he didn't have to ask again. A loud cracking noise came from the hallway behind them. The ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Lyra's voice turned into a whisper. They have awakened. Evan looked around, panic growing. What do they want? To protect the pyramid, Lyra said. From intruders. I'm not an intruder. The pyramid thinks you are, she replied. You opened the door. You activated the symbols. You woke the chamber. Now the guardians will come for you. A huge shadow appeared in the hallway, then another. Evan heard a deep, heavy breathing sound, like stone grinding against stone. Lyra pulled him toward a narrow passage on the side. There is an escape tunnel. It is forbidden for my people. But it may keep us alive. Evan didn't argue. They ran into the tunnel just as a giant stone arm smashed into the chamber behind them. The entire room shook with the impact. The distant sound of glowing eyes opening filled the air. Evan's heart was racing. What are those things? He asked. Ancient protectors, Lyra said as they ran. Made before our time. Made to destroy anyone who wakes the pyramid. And they think I did it, he said breathlessly. They do not think, she replied. They only follow the last command they received 10,000 years ago. Another crash echoed through the tunnel. The guardians were coming. Evan looked at Lyra. Is there a way out? She nodded, though she looked scared. There is. But it leads deeper inside the pyramid, not outside. Evan swallowed hard. Then that's where we go. Lyra nodded. And they ran deeper into the unknown darkness. The tunnel grew narrower the deeper they went. The glowing symbols on the walls faded away, leaving only darkness. Evan's breathing echoed through the cramped space, mixing with Lyra's. Quiet footsteps. Behind them, the sound of the guardians grew louder. Heavy stone steps. Grinding stone breaths. Metallic echoes shaking the air. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead. Why are they still coming? We left the chamber. Lyra didn't. Slow down. They are not following you. They are following your energy. The pyramid marked you. Evan frowned. Marked me for what? For awakening something you were never meant to touch. A louder crash echoed behind them, closer. Much closer. The tunnel shook as if a giant fist had hit the wall. Dust fell. From the ceiling, Lyra pulled Evan faster. If they reach us in this passage, we are dead. They cannot turn their bodies in here. They will simply crush the tunnel. Evan's heart jumped. Then what do we do? Run. They ran. The tunnel suddenly opened into a large underground hall. This chamber was colder, darker, and older. The air smelled like ancient stone and forgotten memories. In the center of the hall was something strange. A massive stone circle lying flat on the ground, covered in glowing blue cracks. It looked like a broken portal. Pieces were missing from its edges. Evan walked to it slowly. What is this? Lyra stared at the broken circle with fear in her eyes. The last gate. My people believed it was only a myth. It looks damaged, Evan said. It is, Lyra whispered. And that is the problem. A broken gate leaks energy. And the guardians can sense that energy clearly. Evan took a step back. So this thing is calling them too? Yes, she gulped. And you activated it by entering the pyramid. Before he could answer, the sound of cracking stone echoed through the tunnel behind them. The guardians were trying to break their way through. Evan looked around the hall. Is there another exit? Lyra shook her head. Only one. But we need the orb to open it. What orb? She pointed toward the far side of the hall. Floating above a small pedestal was a glowing gray sphere, spinning gently. It gave off a low humming sound, vibrating the air around it. That is the heart orb, Lyra said. It controls the gates. But it responds only to the blood of the key-bearers. Evan raised an eyebrow. And you think I'm one of them? Lyra looked at him with a mix of fear and certainty. After what I saw, yes, you are. Evan hesitated but walked toward the orb slowly. The air around it felt heavy, like pushing through water. His skin tingled. Lyra stayed back. Do not touch it unless it reacts to you. When Evan got close, the orb suddenly stopped spinning. Then it turned deliberately facing him. A beam of soft white light traveled across the surface, scanning him like an ancient eye waking from a long sleep. Lyra gasped. It recognizes you. The orb floated toward Evan, stopping just a few inches from his chest. Evan whispered, "What do I do?" "Let it choose," Lyra said. The orb pressed itself gently against his palm. Instantly, images flashed through Evan's mind. A burning sky. A war between titans. Humans controlling gateways of light. A giant creature tearing through a portal. A great collapse. Silence. Darkness. Evan stumbled backward, dizzy. The orb glowed brighter, then floated upward again, now shining bright white. Lyra's eyes widened. You bonded with it. The entire hall suddenly lit up with ancient lines of energy spreading across the floor like veins of lightning. A deep rumbling echoed. Evan turned. The tunnel behind them split open as a guardian's arm punched through, sending stones flying. Lyra grabbed his wrist. Evan, you must activate the escape path now. How? The orb will guide you. The orb shot toward a wall covered in ancient carvings. 3 symbols lit up, forming a doorway-shaped outline. Evan pressed the orb against the glowing symbols. Loud crack sounded. The stone wall dissolved into mist. A hidden passage appeared. But before they could enter, the guardian smashed the rest of the tunnel open. Its glowing blue eye locked onto Evan. Lyra froze in fear. It sees you. The guardian stepped forward, the ground shaking under its weight. Evan grabbed Lyra's hand. Move! They rushed into the hidden passage as the guardian reached for them. The stone door of mist reformed instantly, sealing the guardian out. Darkness swallowed them. Only the orb's faint glow remained. Shaking gently as if frightened, the hidden passage was narrow and cold. The air inside felt untouched for thousands of years. Only the soft white glow of the orb guided their steps. Evan held it tightly, and every few seconds, the orb trembled, almost like it was alive. Lyra walked beside him silently, her glowing eyes filled with worry. She kept glancing at Evan's hand holding the orb, as if she expected it to burn him, or change him somehow. Evan noticed. You look like I'm carrying a bomb. It is worse than a bomb, Lyra whispered. It is a memory, a key, and a curse. Evan frowned. You're not making me feel better. They continued forward, until the narrow tunnel opened into another chamber, this one larger, rounder, and brighter. Strange crystal pillars surrounded the room, each one filled with swirling mist inside. But what stood in the center made Evan stop moving. A giant mirror-like surface, made of smooth black stone, curved like a half-moon. Dozens of radiant carvings surrounded it. It looked like water frozen in darkness. What is that? Evan asked softly. Lyra's voice trembled. The mirror of truth. The ancients used it to read someone's bloodline, someone's soul. Before Evan could react, orb in his hand floated out of his palm and flew toward the mirror. It touched the surface, and the black stone rippled like liquid. A bright white silhouette appeared inside the mirror, shaped like a human. Evan took a step forward. Is that me? Lyra shook her head slowly. Not you, someone older. Someone from your blood. The silhouette sharpened. It was a tall human warrior, wearing armor that glowed with the same white light as the orb. His eyes were calm. His face was strong. But what made Evan freeze completely? The warrior looked exactly like him. Not similar, identical. Evan whispered. No, this can't be real. Lyra moved closer. He is a key-bearer. The last human who controlled the gates. He fought beside the ancients in the Great War. The mirror shifted again. More images appeared. Humans and Lyra's ancestors working together. building pyramids across the galaxy, battling giant dark creatures that crawled out of broken portals. The keybearer sealing the last gate before dying. Then the mirror turned dark. Evan stepped back. His voice was shaking. Why? Didn't humans know about this? Our history never speaks of other planets or wars like this. Lyra lowered her head. Because my ancestors erased all records of humans. They destroyed every story, every statue, every name. Evan stared at her. Why? Shame filled her glowing eyes. Because after the war, humans sacrificed themselves to save us. And my people could not accept that the ones they feared were the ones who saved them. So they removed you from history. Evan felt a cold anger in his chest. They erased us. Because they were afraid to admit the truth? Yes, Lyra whispered. And I am sorry. Before he could speak, the orb glowed again, brighter than before, and flew back to Evan's hand. The mirror suddenly cracked, as if it had shone too much. The entire chamber trembled. A deep echo rolled through the tunnels. Lyra's face turned pale. The Guardians found a second path. They are coming. Evan clenched the orb. Then we use the mirror. Maybe it opens another escape. No, Lyra said quickly. The mirror only shows truth. It does not open doors. Then what does open doors? Lyra pointed at the carvings around the mirror, 12 glowing symbols forming a circle. The keybearer used those symbols to open the path to the inner sanctum. If we reach the sanctum, we might survive. Footsteps, heavy stone footsteps, echoed from the hallway behind them. Closer, closer, closer. Guardians were near. Evan stepped toward the glowing symbols. The orb pulsed once, twice. Then a symbol lit up under his hand. Another lit. Then another. Evan shouted. It's working. A giant stone fist smashed through the tunnel wall behind them. Lyra grabbed Evan's shirt and pulled him back just in time. A guardian entered the chamber, its huge glowing eye focused only on him. Evan swallowed hard. They really hate me. They fear you, Lyra corrected. Because only a key bearer can reopen the last gate. The guardian stepped forward. The chamber shook. The final symbol lit up. The floor beneath Evan and Lyra opened suddenly, dropping them into a spiral staircase of glowing white stone. The guardian reached for them, but the floor closed instantly. Evan and Lyra fell into darkness, lit only by the strange white glow beneath their feet. Evan and Lyra slid down the spiral staircase, unable to stop themselves. The glowing white steps moved beneath their feet like a smooth river of stone. At the bottom, they finally stopped. Inside a huge circular chamber, much larger than any room they had seen before, the air was cold. Too cold. The walls were covered in countless carvings, each one glowing faintly in shades of blue, white, and silver. The floor was perfectly smooth, like polished glass. But the strangest thing was the giant star-shaped platform in the center. Its arms extended in all directions, like a map carved into the floor. Lyra's voice shook. This is the sanctum. Evan looked around. It doesn't look safe. It isn't, she replied quietly, but it is our only chance. The orb floated from Evan's hand, rising above the platform. Its glow became brighter, almost blinding. Then the floor began to react. Lines of light shot out from the orb, racing across the star-shaped platform. A massive holographic map rose from the ground. Evan stepped back in shock. What is all this? Lyra stared, eyes wide. This is the map of all the gates the ancients built. The holographic map showed dozens of pyramids across different planets, glowing pathways connecting them, swirling energy patterns. Dark cracks where portals had collapsed, and at the center, a huge gate glowing bright blue. Evan pointed. What's that big one? Lyra swallowed. The last gate, the final portal, the one your ancestor sealed with his life. And why is it glowing? Lyra's voice dropped. Because it is breaking again. Before Evan could respond, The map changed. One part zoomed in a desert, just like the one they came from. The hologram showed a buried structure deeper under the planet's surface, much larger than the pyramid above. Evan frowned. There's another structure under us, Lyra nodded. The true gate. The pyramid on the surface is only the lock. The real machine is below. The orb pulsed again. The map zoomed even closer. Now it showed a heart-shaped core, surrounded by dark cracks. Lyra touched the map, but her hand passed through the light. It's unstable. When it breaks completely, the creatures from the old war will return. Evan felt a chill down his spine. Then we need to fix it. Lyra turned to him sharply. Fix? Evan, no one has been able to fix a gate since the ancients died. But the pyramid reacted to me, he said. The orb bonded with me. Maybe I can. She grabbed his arm suddenly. Her voice broke. Evan, if you open that gate, you will not survive it. He met her eyes. I wasn't supposed to survive today anyway. Lyra looked away, blinking fast, trying not to cry. Before she could say more, a loud tremor shook the chamber. The holographic map flickered. Evan stared at the walls. Did the Guardians find us again? Lyra shook her head, terrified. No. This sound is different. Something is waking up below us. The ground vibrated again stronger. Cracks formed on the surface of the platform. The orb floated higher, shaking violently, almost like it was warning them. Evan clenched his fists. We need to reach the lower chamber. How do we get down? Lyra stepped onto one of the star-shaped arms. Each arm is a path. But only one is safe. The others lead to death traps. Which one is the safe one? Evan asked. I don't. No, she whispered. Before they could decide, the walls around them lit up with new symbols neither of them had seen before. The orb projected a line of white light onto one of the star arms. Evan pointed. That one. The orb is choosing. Lyra hesitated. It might be a test or a trap. Well, Evan said, stepping onto the chosen path, we don't have time to think. The moment his foot touched it, the platform behind them cracked open. A massive stone claw burst out of the ground, followed by another like something huge was climbing upward. Lyra gasped. Evan, that's not a guardian. A giant creature made of shadow and stone crawled from the depths. Its body was like a twisted mix of alien armor and black smoke. Its eyes burned blue like dying stars. Evan whispered, voice shaking. Then, what is it? Lyra took a step back. A remnant. A creature from the old war. It shouldn't exist. It should have died thousands of years ago. The remnant roared, the sound shaking the entire sanctum. The orb pulsed urgently, its light flickering. Lyra grabbed Evan's arm. Run! Evan, run! They sprinted down the chosen path as the remnants smashed the platform behind them. Pieces of the sanctum fell like broken glass. The orb led them forward, toward the lower chambers, toward the true gate. The chosen path grew narrower as Evan and Lyra ran. The glowing floor beneath their feet flickered like weak fire. Behind them, the remnant crawled closer, smashing stone pillars with its giant clawed arms. Every roar it released shook dust from the ancient ceiling. Evan breathed hard. How is that thing alive? Lyra didn't look back. It was born from the broken gate. When the portal collapsed, creatures like it became trapped between worlds. Half dead, half alive, Evan muttered, wonderful. They reached the end of the star path, another sealed door carved with swirling lines. The orb flew ahead and scanned the symbols. Slowly, the stone dissolved into white mist, revealing a staircase spiraling downward into complete darkness. Lyra pulled Evan's hand. This way, hurry! They ran down the stairs. The mist door closed behind them with a heavy thud, blocking the remnant for now. At the bottom, the path opened into a long hall with tall silver pillars. Strange lights floated like tiny stars around them. The air hummed with a soft vibration. Evan stared at the architecture. This place feels different, like it's alive, Lyra nodded. This is the inner chamber. Only key bearers were allowed here. Evan tightened his grip on the orb. Then I guess I'm the first one in 10,000 years. But something about Lyra's expression had changed. She wasn't looking at him. She wasn't looking at the orb. She was looking at the floor. Her hands were shaking. Evan stepped closer. Lyra, what's wrong? She didn't answer at first. Then her voice trembled. I don't want to say it, but I must. My people gave me a mission. Evan's heart slowed. Mission? Lyra finally looked up at him. Her glowing eyes were filled with guilt. They told me, if a human ever enters the pyramid, I must lead him to the inner chamber. Evan frowned. Okay, and then what? Her next words cut like a blade. And then, I must make sure the human dies. Evan froze. The hall suddenly felt colder. Lyra continued, tears forming. Because only a key-bearer's death can fully power the gate again. They believed a human sacrifice would restore our world. They believed you were a danger, a threat, or a tool. Evan stepped back slowly. So, I was never supposed to survive. No, she cried, reaching for him. I didn't want to obey them. I tried to help you escape. I tried to fight fate. But you still brought me here, Evan said quietly. Her tears fell. Because if the gate collapses, my people die. My world dies. Everything dies. And you were the only hope. Evan looked at the orb glowing in his hand. So my life is the price? Lyra shook violently. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want to lose you. Evan stared at her. Lose me? You didn't even know me before today. Lyra's voice broke. But I know you now. You saved me from the Guardians. You trusted me when you shouldn't have. You showed courage my people lost long ago. Evan, you are not like the stories. You are better. Evan's anger softened a little, but the betrayal still stabbed like ice. Lyra, if you wanted me dead, why warn me now? Because, she whispered, I don't want my world to live at the cost of your blood. Suddenly, the orb in Evan's hand glowed bright, too bright to look at. The entire hall vibrate. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, not human, not alien, but ancient. The key-bearer has entered. The gate shall be restored. Lyra looked horrified. No, the sanctum woke by itself. It thinks you agreed to sacrifice your life. Evan shouted over the rumbling. How do we stop it? We can't. Cracks spread across the floor. Light shot upward like lightning. The stone pillars began shifting, forming a circular pattern around Evan. The chamber was preparing a ritual. Lyra rushed to Evan and grabbed his shirt. Listen to me. There may be one way to live. But you have to trust me now more than ever. Evan stared at her. After everything? Why should I? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Because if you die, the gate opens with no control. And the creatures behind it will destroy both our worlds. Evan froze. The ancient voice echoed again, louder, angrier. The key-bearer must die for the gate to live. The floor split beneath their feet. Light poured upward, swirling like a storm. Lyra grabbed Evan's hand tightly. Please, trust me. I know a way to break the ritual, but we must reach the gate core before it activates. And how far is that? Her eyes glowed brighter. Not far. Just below this chamber. Evan looked at the cracking floor, at the bright, blinding light rising around him, at the betrayal and the fear on Lyra's face. He nodded once. Fine, lead the way. Lyra pulled him sharply toward a side passage as the ritual circled fully. Awakened behind them, the chanting echo grew louder. The key-bearer must die. And the floor exploded in white fire. The floor behind Evan and Lyra exploded into a storm of white fire as they ran. The ancient voice of the sanctum continued, echoing through the chamber. The key-bearer must die. The gate must live. The stone pillars shifted violently, forming a shining cage around the ritual circle. Bright symbols flashed like thunder. The entire pyramid shook from its foundation. Evan felt the heat at his back as glowing cracks chased them down the side. Passage. Lyra, where is the gate core? Below us, she shouted. Just one more chamber. The tunnel sloped downward sharply. Strange blue mist filled the air. The orb in Evan's hand vibrated so hard he could barely hold it. Lyra kept glancing back. The sanctum is pulling the orb. It wants to drag you into the ritual. Then, I'll hold it tighter. No, she said breathlessly. You must not resist too much. If the orb fights you, it will break your mind. Great, Evan muttered. Ancient magic and brain damage. Finally, they reached the bottom of the passage. A wide metal door stood before them, smooth, silver, and silent. It had no handles, no cracks, nothing. Evan stepped closer. How do we open it? Lyra put her trembling hand on the door. Only a key-bearer's heart can open it. Evan blinked. My heart? Yes, her voice softened. Not your life, just your intent. Evan raised the orb. It glowed brighter and emitted a deep hum. The silver door shivered, then slid. Open with a whisper. Inside was a breathtaking sight. The gate core. A gigantic circular machine floated above a bottomless pit. Dozens of golden rings orbited around it, rotating silently. Blue energy swirled inside the core like a living storm. Ancient symbols hovered in the air, spinning like stars. Evan stepped forward slowly. This is beautiful. Lyra shook her head. It is dying, look. Dark cracks spread across the golden rings. Energy leaked like smoke. The machine pulsed weakly, like a heartbeat fading. If the core breaks, Lyra whispered, every remnant trapped between worlds will enter. Ours, Evan swallowed. Then we fix it. Lyra turned to him, panic in her eyes. No. Fixing it requires the key-bearer ritual. That means your death. Evan gripped the orb tightly. Maybe there's another way. There isn't, she cried. The ancients designed it this way. One life to power one gate. That was their law. Evan stared at the dying machine. Well, I'm not an ancient. The entire core shook violently. A long, deep crack split the golden rings. The blue energy wavered like it was being pulled apart. Lyra screamed. Evan, it's breaking. The orb flew from his hand, glowing. White hot. It floated to the center of the core, pulsing faster and faster. Suddenly, the golden rings turned toward Evan, like they were waiting for him. The ancient voice returned. The key-bearer has arrived. Offer your life. Evan looked at Lyra. She shook her head desperately. Don't you dare. Don't you dare leave me. He stepped forward slowly, not to die, but to choose. I'm done letting dead civilizations make decisions for me. Evan said loudly. The core paused. Lyra stared, shocked. What are you doing? Evan raised his voice, speaking to the machine. The pyramid, the ancients themselves. You want a sacrifice? Fine, but you won't choose who dies. I will. He stepped onto the glowing platform directly beneath the core. The rings spun faster. The energy storm brightened. The ancient voice grew louder, angry. The key-bearer must die. Nitrogen monoxide, Evan shouted. The key-bearer must live. The orb exploded with white light. The core swallowed the light. Energy blasted outward like a shockwave. Lyra shielded her eyes. Evan. When the light faded, Evan was still standing. Alive, but glowing. His veins shone white. His eyes burned with a soft silver light. The orb's energy had merged with him, not killed him. Lyra stepped toward him slowly. Evan, what happened to you? Evan breathed hard. I rewrote the ritual. The gate took energy from me, but not life. The core roared back to life, glowing brighter than ever. The golden rings repaired themselves, the cracks closed. The blue energy storm expanded, swirling with power. The last gate was reborn. Ancient voice whispered once more, but this time softer. The key-bearer lives, the gate obeys. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. You did it. You saved us. Evan managed a small, tired smile. Guess humans aren't as extinct as everyone thought. The core opened a new portal, stable, bright, swirling with energy. Lyra stared at it. Where does it go? Evan touched her shoulder. Let's find out. She nodded. Together, they stepped toward the glowing portal, but just as the light wrapped around them, a deep, distant roar echoed from the upper chambers. The remnant was still alive, still coming, and it had sensed the gate's awakening. Evan tightened his jaw. Round 2, Lyra held his hand. Then we face it together. They stepped into the light. The portal closed.